This is the Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel. What they gonna say next?
Hello and welcome along to the Basketball Show. All thanks to TCL Mobile, 2K and Bet with Joel. Joel and Hammer with you as always. A special day today as well, given it's Anzac Day.
Have a look at that.
Yep.
Respect and appreciation for all those men and women for the sacrifices that they made and their families.
Absolutely.
To be able to think about them.
Yeah, no, well said. Special day for a lot of people. So, yeah, good to be here.
Great to be
regardless.
here. Yeah. And what about you? We've had the All-Star game.
Yep.
What do we call it? Not All-Star game. Celebrity game.
Celebrity All-Star game.
Two in a row. We've won 2 in a row, Joe. Going back to back.
Yeah.
Kyrgios, he went off. He went bananas.
He was actually pretty handy.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Dan Ewing and Jamie Soward, our leaders, no doubt about that. And what about the Premier? Had a bit of a crack, didn't he?
He took it very seriously as well, but good on him, good sport. Absolutely pumped him though. Coach, I need more court time.
Yeah, no,
next
you
year,
do.
please.
That's what got to get rid of Ben Fordham. He bloody took over. He didn't give you enough court time. But 50 grand we raised on behalf of the Sydney Kings and
for the Starlight Foundation. Yeah, great cause, lots of fun, good day out, and then a cracking game of basketball to follow.
Build it bigger and better next year. Don't worry about that.
Yes. Plenty to get through today. Before we get into our TCL starting 5, though, TCL are releasing 2 new phones. So I just want to let everyone know about that. The TCL 30 Plus and the 30 SE. The 30 Plus is $399. The SE is $329.
Don't worry about spending $1,000 when you can spend $399 for all these features. And that's yours, Joe.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's for you. That's what we do. I throw out assists. People just thought I scored, but I just throw out dimes like that, mate. On behalf of TCL, for what you do, you legend.
Thank you.
Yep.
Amazing. Great phones though. So I'm actually very pleased with that. 30% less blue light than other Android phones.
Good, I need that
as
with
well.
my eyes.
Yeah, no, likewise. And you can get it at Harvey Norman, Officeworks, Big W, and Target. So
fire up, get amongst it.
Exactly. TCL starting 5 is now. We're kicking it off with the Tasmania JackJumpers, who are into the finals. It's an unbelievable story, isn't it?
How good. Not only did they make it, and we were pumped for them all. Even if they hadn't have made it, it would have just been a great story with how they. But even better, they got rid of Perth. How good is that? Red Army. What do you think about that?
Yes, well, we'll get into that in more detail shortly. But this is the JackJumpers finding out that they're into the top 4.
Yeah!
I love this.
How good. I remember that my first year coaching the Kings, we were exactly the same, relying on another team having to win. I think it was Melbourne Tigers, and made it by a basket. We were exactly the same in our locker room, and well done to them. Such a great story.
Oh, really. It's amazing. The game over Melbourne the other night, really impressive as well. It was 29-9 in the third quarter. They went on an absolute run there. I do have one question from a Melbourne point of view. Is that a concern at all for them, or do you just write that off?
They didn't want to win that game. They didn't want to play against Perth. Not that they were scared of Perth, but you'd rather play Tassie than Perth. They didn't even send their whole team, right?
Yeah, Delhi had a dentist appointment.
Right.
Something like that, actually. I can't remember what it was.
So he should. You've got to rest the people with injuries and just get yourself right. But, you know, they'll probably get swept, the JackJumpers, but it makes absolutely no difference to their season because they should be so proud of being able to
Exactly. Congratulations to everyone involved in the organisation. No, of course.
They will believe that they're going to go on and make a grand final now, and so they should.
Yeah, so good. Love it. Look forward to that semi-final series against Melbourne United. Moving on, it should be, or we thought it was going to be, Ben Simmons' Nets debut eve. That's a mouthful. He's officially out of Game 4 against...
Reggie wasn't happy.
No, so Reggie Miller, I'll read this out.
Oh, there it is.
Says, come on, man, out for Game 4 when it was rumoured that you were going to make your debut. This dude has zero competitive fire. As small as a chance of the Nets have to come back in this series. You've got KD and Curry. All you need is one game and take it from there. Hashtag man up.
Well, he doesn't normally go that hard, Reggie, does he?
No.
So
it is out of character. But, I mean, he's fuming, like I think a lot of Nets fans are as well.
Oh, yeah. Come on, Ben. Fire up. Come on.
I think, for me, it's just you want to understand what's going on behind the scenes. Because he's so quiet and keeps to himself, you just don't have any clarity on the situation. I think that would clear a lot of things up for a lot of people.
What do you think's going on?
I think he's protecting himself. From criticism. If he
You can't be a pro basketballer if you're going to protect yourself. The only way you protect yourself from criticism is get out there and show the haters what you've got to be able to get done.
I saw
get back on the horse,
I saw
pal.
something where it was like he would be the first player in history, I think, to be eliminated in 2 consecutive games in consecutive playoffs.
I'm with Reggie. Let's go. Come on, Ben. Fire up.
All right, moving on. Josh Giddey has been doing the rounds.
Yep. Great kid.
Across Australia. Yeah, basketball camps, dinners, guest appearances, that kind of thing.
Charities.
You were at an event on Thursday in Sydney.
Spoke at an event.
How was it?
He's just a great kid. It's not a surprise. We've had him on the show. Good mates with his dad was an ex-teammate, but he's just a great kid. Still so down to earth, and shared a lot of information and was, I don't know, he was great. He did say that he hit the wall during the season, which wasn't a surprise. That's what all rookies do. But played his way through, and he's going to be great next year. Yeah, no,
awesome to see him engaging with the kids as well and being that inspiration for a lot of people. Yeah,
there's a lot of adults there that were really keen to be able to get a photo and
Did you see the lines outside Throwback Store?
Throwback Store was well done, Mike. They went all the way around the corner. It was like a full block.
It was unbelievable.
Very, very popular. He's done a lot for Australian basketball. Well done.
Luke Travers.
Yes.
Is set to be drafted come June.
Is he going to get drafted?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Lots of upside.
Yeah. Well, he's not shown in the mock drafts, is he? Or is he late?
Yeah, I think it's pretty late so far, but
Someone might just see the upside and just go with a late pick just to be able to tuck him away, because he'd have to be intriguing to a lot of teams just with his body type and still being so young and opportunity to be able to continue to change his body type if he got into the NBA. So not sure he's going to go too high. Not like our man Dyson Daniels is.
He's set to go, what, 10 to 15?
Well, I think one of the mock drafts we just looked at was like 19 or 20, but I reckon he's going to surprise.
Yeah.
He could go top 10. He really could.
So. That would be amazing.
Talk about upside. Oh, yeah, he's a great kid. And Diang, he's...
Usman, Hugo Basson, Aro Hakporti. No, good luck to all of them. Fingers crossed.
Come through the NBL. That's what you get.
The GOAT has been back in action. Lauren Jackson playing NBL 1.
Playing?
Lauren Jackson.
The other GOAT. The
other GOAT.
She has. She's been dominating, hasn't she?
Dropping absolute bombs as well. So I think, 21 points in her first game in 22 minutes and then 36 yesterday. It's so impressive.
It is. Like with the knee problems that she's had, to be able to come back and do that. Sure, they're half her size and all the rest of it in the New South Wales League, but... I don't know
what I'd do if I was playing NBL 1 and she played against me.
Probably the same thing they did.
I wouldn't be able to focus. I'd be just watching her
Wear a nappy. Interesting to see whether she starts to perk up a little bit now about the Opals, though.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Talk about crazy stories.
That would be a crazy story.
Never know.
But, no, Liz, who knows?
Watch this space.
You never doubt a champion.
All right, let's keep things moving.
Breaking all the big news in basketball with Matt Logue.
Yes, time for the Logue Down. Matty Logue in the studio with us. How you doing?
Yeah, very well. Pumped after the charity game on the weekend.
Did you pull up okay?
Yeah, fine. Hammies are fine. Yeah, no, it was good fun. It was good fun.
It was. It certainly was. Lots to get through in this segment today. Starting with the Kings and Chase Buford. Here's what he had to say after their loss yesterday.
Yeah, I think just, Cords has got a great team, and they're a talented group. They're a good basketball team. We feel we've got a good team. Local derby, guys are fired up to play. I thought Vaughn and Ruben did a really good job managing that tough game to referee. Those two were really up for the challenge tonight, and because it is those two, our teams they don't like each other. No love lost on the court, and competed their butts off both ways. No, I thought Vaughn and Ruben were really good, and I just hope we don't have Chris so we have a chance when we play.
Strong words there from Chase Buford. Can you unwrap that for us?
Yeah, so he's referring to referee Chris Reed. Chase believes that Chris is a lot of calls against the Kings, and he's got a little black book there, and he thinks it's too much. So he dropped the line there, which I think the NBL are looking at closely, because he's inferring that basically he cheats, you know, when he referees against the Kings. So it's not a good look for Chase to say. But at the end of the day, he's valid on some points. Bring you in, Shane, like from a coaching point of view with the Flames, like there are a lot of calls that you monitor, you know, during games.
As coaches, we're cutting up tape, so you see what coaches. I don't think Chase was insinuating that he cheats. I think what ends up happening is when you see so many calls go against you from the same ref, happened in the WNBL. I had to write to Basketball Australia and say, this ref gives us absolutely nothing, and here's the stats and the clips to show it. Chase would see all of that stuff. He's putting it out there. And I think what the NBL should do is have a look whether there are edits that actually back up his claims and don't put him on the games. That's the solution. Absolutely.
I think they've got to be proactive with that, the NBL, instead of just seeing the comment and going, oh, well, we'll fine him. You know, but
let's look at
there's pressure there.
Results.
There's pressure there for the kids.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens over the coming days. Obviously, the two teams meeting in the semi-final series. Scott Roth has earned himself a payday. Yeah,
it's a remarkable story, the Tasmania JackJumpers. I've had basketball people come to me recently, like not even big fans, and just going, oh, the JackJumpers, like, wow. You know, but Roth's been terrific. The culture there is great. The first barometer for success for Scott, all he had to get was 500 wins, like for the season on the ladder, and he's achieved that. So that's locked in the first incentive. They're now in the finals. If they go well, there could be another incentive. I've spoken to the JackJumpers officials this morning, and they're like, well, we won't give you the specific numbers because that'll remain private, but it's a pretty big windfall.
So he's earned it. 50%, like, was... No one thought they could win 50%, so they would have said, yeah, no worries, we'll give you a massive bonus. And he's like, okay. And then you get another bonus for making the playoffs. Yeah. No one would have thought that. And so he's deserved it. So well done, Scott.
Well, now he's taking the team for dinner.
Yeah, he should.
A few, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, a few. Maybe.
Well, hopefully they've got bonuses as well to make the playoffs.
Very true, very true. Obviously, them being in the finals means that Perth, for the first time in 35 years, are not there, which is crazy in itself. What do we know about the future of ScoMo, though?
Well, he's contracted, but for the last couple of weeks, he has been an angry man. We're happy to say that. Like some of his comments, he made some interesting comments last week where he said, well, regarding his future, well, if I'm not here, I'm contracted. Well, they can just pay me out, like, and that's just what it is. And it just, I don't know, it doesn't seem like a coach that is focused on the future and locked in. And they have, look, I think they won 3 of their last 9 at home, the Wildcats. It's not good. And I know, Shane, at the start of the year, Joe and I looked at you and just thought you're crazy because you said, well, the new coach is coming in and how will that work with Bryce Cotton and the systems? It's different. Is that going... And, mate, you bang on. Like, I just don't know. I know the Wildcats fans are filthy. They went to Wikipedia last night and they've blown up and changed Scott Morrison's page saying, you know, basically go back to Canada. So they're not used to not being in the finals. Obviously, 35 years is a long time. But what's your thoughts, Shane? You thought there was potentially question marks from day one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when a coach is more worried about saying, pay me out, and, you know, when they still had a game to make the playoffs and potentially make the playoffs and still win a championship, I would have thought he would deflect that and say, mate, don't worry about next year. I'm worried about getting this win because we believe and we know we can win and we can get back on track. So he's been under a lot of pressure. There's no doubt about it. It comes with the territory over there, and they're going to have to make some hard decisions about whether he's the right man for the future.
Off-season for the Wildcats. Big week for you this week leading up to the finals, though?
Yeah, awards Wednesday night. We've got an 8-page lift out in all the newspapers on Wednesday, which is great for basketball. And then those 2 semi-finals, game ones, bring it on. But you know, the Kings and the Hawks down in the Gong, wow.
Huge.
Bring it on.
It's going to be good. Alrighty, thank you for the update.
Pleasure, thank you.
Yes, time to go crystal gazing. Maddie Logue still here in the studio with us, and we'll bring in Derek Rucker as we do every week as well. D, how you doing?
Very well, Joe.
Having a look at the current leaderboard, guys. Director Dave on 92, he's leading the way, but Hammer, you are 1 behind. Then it's myself on 90, Derek's on 85, and Maddie, you've been eliminated because you never got your tips in every week, so we've scrapped you from the competition.
Can I request that we frame everybody accordingly? So I'm up here, Derek, you go down here, and Maddie, we just see the top of your head, mate.
You do anyway.
All right. A couple of massive semi-final series really coming up this week. All begins on Thursday night with Melbourne and Tassie. Dee, I'll come to you first. How are you feeling about this series? Do you think it's going to be a sweep as well?
I don't. I think this is a really tricky series for Melbourne United. Tassie's style is tough to play against because any 4 or 5 point leads that they have against you, the way they work the ball, their intensity defensively, it's a lot greater than that. And Melbourne United will have a distinct advantage, I believe, in the paint. But it's just going to be a matter of, do they have the discipline and are they going to execute enough to make sure they expose Tassie inside? Then on the other hand, can they defend guys? Can they keep those guards from having an impact on the game? And by those guards, obviously mean Majette and Adams.
So who are you picking?
I'm going with Melbourne United in 3.
Okay. Well, what's going to happen here is that the Tassie team, who we're all applauding, they are going to see the difference between regular season and the playoffs. This is what's going to happen.
They've been playing the playoffs the past 3 weeks.
This is what's going to happen. And you only have to cast your mind back when the Sydney Kings went to Tasmania and they punched them in the mouth in the first quarter. They got a 20-point lead. Now, I'm not suggesting it's going to be a 20-point lead in the first quarter, but they are going to see the difference between regular season and Melbourne United, who are focused, ready to try and go back-to-back. This is a sweep, and the first one could get ugly.
It's hard to dispute, but I'm going to throw it out there, and I think Tassie they are tough, and at home they're going to ride a lot of emotion. They're going to defend the island, and I think they can steal one at home. I think United will still win the series 2-1, but I think they can shock. I've got to go against it because it's obviously a sweep for Melbourne United, but I really think Tassie, they can do it.
Not with you, fellas. Not with you.
All right, well, the other series, the Kings and Hawks. Hawks hosting the first game there down in Wollongong on Friday night. Hammer, what are you thinking about this one?
Well, every game that they play is going to be a flip of the coin. These teams are so evenly matched. But I think the question mark for the first game for Sydney is that Jalen Adams, he's been crook. We know Jarrell Martin's coming back from some sort of sickness or injury as well. He only played 15 minutes or so yesterday. So I think the Hawks have to be desperate. They have to get game 1. If they don't, I think it'll be all over in 2. So I'm going to select them to get that one in a close one, but the Kings will bounce back. And I've still got the Kings for the series. So I'm going Hawks, Kings, Kings.
Derek, what about you?
Wow. That's a tough one, and this is a great series. I was hoping that this would be the grand final, but unfortunately we get it in the semifinals. But I think, Shane, man, it's tough to break the 2, but I'm just going to go with the team that has the home court advantage. I think that is going to be the distinction in this series, and I'm going to go with the Hawks. Also, Adams missing a bit of court time right now. I just don't know how that's going to impact him. Cooks has had to carry a lot of the load. Physically, it looked like he was starting to show some signs of wear and tear over the past few days. Yesterday, that final game of the season could be a big one. It gave the Hawks a home court advantage, and Matt, I think it's their series.
Yeah, it'll be close, but I think Jalen Adams comes back in. The Kings have proven they can beat the Hawks down in the Gong. It'll be close. I expect the Kings to steal one in game 1, and then potentially wrap it up in game 2. At home. I just think if Jarrell can play more minutes, Jalen's back in the team, I think that they can get it done. Despite the fact I was looking at the stats today, it's 3-1 season record for the Hawks. So a bit of work to do for the Kings.
Yeah, they'll take that confidence in for sure. Melbourne and Tassie, game 3 Monday night if required. Kings and Hawks Tuesday night if required as well. Gents, thank you for that. We'll check in again next week.
Not a problem.
Time now to go in depth thanks to 2K with Hawks star import Antonius Cleveland, who joins us from Wollongong. AC, thanks so much for being on the basketball show. A massive win for you guys over the Kings yesterday. It must have felt pretty good driving back down the highway.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, it was a good win last night. And then what made it even sweeter was like the drive home wasn't far at all. So, we was able to get back home, fairly quicker than any other away game and just enjoy the win and just kind of like kick back for a day or 2 before we get ready for the playoffs.
Mate, take us through your season. I think at the start we sort of were looking to see what you were going to provide. Halfway through, it felt like you just took your game to a whole nother level. And on the back of that, the Hawks started winning a whole lot more games. You look really comfortable right now.
Yeah, I just kind of give some credit to Coach Gorge of just trying to find me ways to, be more aggressive on defense. I think I was guarding wing players, and I just wasn't affecting the game as much. And he decided to put me on every team's point guard to, kind of set the tone and get us going. And I think that's what really helped kickstart everything. Just me picking up 94 feet, you know, like a lot of the other guards do, and just being contagious on defense, and, you know, the team just followed suit, and we just became better as a group. And I think it started with me, you know, guarding the point guards.
Well, it's resulted in a semi-final series against the Sydney Kings. You guys have earned yourself home court advantage as well. How are you feeling about this week coming into that first game on Friday?
I think the first game going to be important, man. Sydney's good, and you know, we're kind of familiar with them, but you know, playoff basketball is different. I think we, you know, can take care of home court and see what happens after that. But I think the first one is important. We just got to, like, you know, stick to the game plan, stick to the scout, and just play hard, man, and see where it takes us.
Now, I want to get back to this series, but I also want to take you back to Tassie, because there was a bit of an incident down there, and we're a bit of a Scott Roth fan. We like the way he's been passionate, and, you know, he celebrates after wins. We're with him on that. But then you decided to take the piss, and that's something I would have done, is because then you said, no, I'm going to give you the same celebration at the crowd, and he sooked it up. So we hit him hard on this show. Just wanted to say, well done, mate, because we don't want robots in this league. We want personalities, mate, that bring it.
I agree.
I loved it. Just take us through how it went down and what you were feeling as well.
So the week before, you know, they kind of kicked our butt, man, and he just kind of, you know, did his antics and whatnot. And I kind of had to wait on him to get done. Like, I think he should coach his hand, and then it was my turn to shake his hand. I had to kind of, like, wait for him to, like, so I'm sitting there, like, kind of waiting with my hand out, and I was pissed. But, you know, of course I wanted to, like, I wasn't going to say anything then. I'm like, we play them next week, so I got something in mind. I got something for that. I got something in mind. So we kind of won the game, and I was just right there, and I kind of remember, like, oh, yeah, now I can, you know, get some revenge. And that's pretty much what that was. I didn't think it'd blow over like that. And, you know how it was after the game. I didn't think all that would happen. I didn't think it was that serious or whatnot. But, I mean, that's me. I'm a competitor. That's me. And me being in this league, I can do stuff like that, you know, versus the NBA. I'm riding the bench, and I really can't express myself. So I like being in this league and being able to show, you know, my true competitive spirit. And that's all it was, just me being a competitor. You beat us last week and celebrating our face. All right, here, I'll take that. So that was all it was.
I love it. You know, I loved it, Jojo.
I know. AC, you certainly got a fan in Hammer after that.
Yeah.
What have you made of Tassie season and the fact that they've made it into the finals in their first campaign?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I don't know if it's ever been done. I don't know the history of this league too much, but they're a pretty good team. Like, they're real good, and they're gonna make you work. And I didn't think that they'd get in the playoffs. I'll be lying to you if I knew that they would get in, you know, coming into this season and just from how it started. But what they did is incredible, man. I mean, I'm happy for, you know, that club. I'm happy for Josh and Majay and those other guys. I mean, they deserve it. I mean, the streak that they went on is kind of overshadowed by what the Kings did and about what we did, kind of. But, like, Tassie has been playing, you know, pretty well for the past couple of months.
Mate, I want to get back to Gorge. You mentioned him before, and I was lucky enough to win a championship with him, and he's the GOAT. He's the greatest coach of all time here. What have you learned, and how have you found him, and how much stuff has he lost, and has he forgotten your name yet as well?
Oh, yes. He calls everybody AC but me sometimes, it seems like. But other than that, I mean, I don't think I've ever been around a coach who loves the game like Gorge. I mean, he's always watching some kind of basketball, and just can tell, man. He just bleeds basketball, and this is like my first coach that I've ever had, like, with a resume like this. I played for Rick Carlisle, but I really wasn't coached by Rick because you know NBA don't play as much. But so me actually being coached by Gorge and everything he's done, you just can tell why he had so much success, man. Like he pretty much has been through any situation in basketball and just knows so much about the game. You know, I'm sure you can attest to that. And it's fun. It's fun playing for a coach like this, you know, with so much resume, like with his resume so good and well respected. It's kind of cool playing for someone like that.
Well, as you say, he's the GOAT of coaching in Australia, that's for sure. He's got a long history with the Sydney Kings, obviously now with Illawarra. What does he talk to you about in terms of the rivalry with these two teams every time you guys meet?
He just kind of, I kind of walked into the rivalry just with, you know, Paul Smith's comments about us before the season. It was all new to me. And just learning the history between the two, like, I guess, like, we're the little brother, the big brother, the Freeway series and all of that. So I kind of, like, learn new things each time we go. But Gorge doesn't really just he doesn't really talk too much on the rivalry, just, you know, how, you know, good Sydney is and whatnot, and, you know, how big the game is for, you know, for the city of the Wollongong and whatnot. But no stories about, like, back in the day or whatnot. I haven't really asked him. Somebody needed to ask him probably this week in practice, see if he got a story for me.
I've got no doubt that Jalen Adams is going to be crowned as the MVP. He's been unbelievable. He didn't play yesterday. No doubt you'll go to him on the weekend. That's going to be a massive battle to see. Not only who wins that battle, but whoever wins that, their team's probably going to win.
I agree. Sydney's, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Jalen, I agree. He's the MVP of the league. It's going to be a tough matchup as well. I'm just excited, man, to see. I want to see us take it to another level as well as Sydney and playoff basketball, man. It don't come around a lot. And I just want both teams to live in the moment, man, and just have fun and really, you know, put on a nice show.
You guys have obviously got yourself, Justinian Jessup, Tyler Harvey, you know, the sharpshooting combo there as well. Who else will you be looking to in this semi-final series to really step up for you guys?
The Frawlin brothers. I think the Frawlin brothers would be huge for us. Sam's been playing pretty well. If Harry can, you know, continue to come off the bench and give us a different dynamic, stretching the floor, you know, playing good on defense, I think that takes us to another level. As far as well as XRM, I think our bench would be key, and Coach knows that as well. So, you know, I think the starters, we got to do a good job, but if our bench can come to play, I think it'll be really tough to beat.
Well, I was hoping this was going to be the grand final. So we got the next best thing. We got it as a semi-final because we know, you know, New South Wales, we need somebody up there to be able to win a title. And I think it's going to be so close. Flip of the coin. It's going to 3, mate. I want to wish you luck. But I know Joe's secretly on the Hawks, and you said off air, you know, that I'm Kings. So there you go. We'll look forward to being courtside and seeing you down there, mate.
Appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, AC.
And congrats on the year. Well done.
Thank y'all.
Derek is sticking around for points made thanks to Bet with Joel. Now, guys, we've got to talk about the Perth Wildcats. They've obviously been so dominant for so long. Full credit to them and the organisation, but something clearly has not been right there this year. Dee, I'll come to you first. What do you put this down to?
Well, Joe, I felt over the years that they've always gotten away with making some minor mistakes with their import selection, or they didn't go with 3 imports early enough in the season. And this year it finally caught up with them. Shane, they tried to make that late change, and it was too late. I know you're one of the people that over the years has really harped on this point. And, you know, it's tough when it comes to roost eventually, and it caught them out. And full credit to Michael Frazier for sticking around, being a professional, and probably being their best player over the final 2 games of the season. But yet he was never the right fit, and it didn't work, Hammer. And now they find themselves for the first time looking in from the outside.
Well, harped might be a little harsh, but I've certainly tried to point it out at different stages. And this year was no different. They just left it too late. They needed that extra import in to be able to do the job. And they didn't get their roster right. I said from the start, and you scoffed at me, that I look forward to see how Scott Morrison goes coming in after Trevor Gleeson, how Cotton goes in that system, because Trevor had evolved at the offensive end for so long. They were so well drilled, knew exactly what they were going to get. At the end of the day, they just couldn't come through, and question marks really come back to the coach.
And Bryce didn't have that end of the season push that we're accustomed to. And one of the things, Shane, about having a good system around you is it takes the pressure, it takes the physical burden off of you. It takes away the reliance on individual brilliance, which we know Bryce has. But in those last 3 or 4 games, they needed so much brilliance from him that it was almost unfair upon him. And, you know, Trevor's system is as boring and as mundane as it was at times. It was very successful. And there we have the quote of the week.
I was going to ask, guys, if you are the Perth Wildcats, are you keeping Scott Morrison around to fulfill his contract for next season?
Well, I'm not sure about that, Joe, but what I do know is that quote, he got caught up emotionally. And it's hard as a coach, and especially with the Red Army if you're underachieving. But for him to actually come out and then talk about getting a paycheck and staying at home and next year and everything else. They had one game to go. All he needed to be able to say is, don't worry about next year. I'm about winning this next game because I know we can get it done. I know we can make the playoffs. I know we can win a series and get our season back on track. But he was certainly under a lot of pressure, and I'm not sure that he handled it the right way.
And Shane, the success that the Wildcats have had now for decades, and we know we've been out there, we've competed against them. They have a certain smugness, a confidence, and arrogance about them. But those emotions are always directed to the outside, to the enemy. It's never self-directed like Scott Morrison did here. He kind of thumbed his nose at the organization, was like, hey, yo, if you want me out, that's cool. Just pay me my cash and I'm out. And I don't think that's the right way to go about it. And it'll be very interesting. They've got to make a decision on whether or not that they can make that work with him now going forward. And what does it look like in terms of a PR exercise for the Wildcats?
Based on that, you've got to say it's highly unlikely that he's there next year.
Wow.
Don't you think, or not?
Oh, man, it's so tough. We don't know what the philosophy of the ownership is. But me, knowing what I want from a head coach, that's probably not it. That might be a red flag to some other things that might present later on down the stretch when we face more adversity.
Well, he's definitely not winning Coach of the Year. We know that for a fact. It's going to be either Chase Buford, Dean Vickerman, or Scott Roth. You could potentially throw Gorge in the mix as well, but really at the end of the day, Scott Roth wins, doesn't he?
Scott Roth, it's hands down. Scott Roth has done an unbelievable job. He is the Coach of the Year. But you could sit there. I mean, what Chase Buford's done, what Dean Vickerman has done to go back-to-back in the regular season, and what Gorge has done. All three of those, throw a blanket over all three of them, because they have been remarkable of what they've been able to do for their teams this year. It's just incredible that Scott Roth has taken this team that has a budget of this much to make the playoffs in their first year, and it's a fairy tale.
I agree with everything you said there, Shane. I am 100% agreement. Check this out, though. Imagine if the Wildcats decided to get rid of Perth ScoMo and went for Scott Roth.
What do you mean?
What if they made an offer he couldn't refuse to coach the Wildcats?
I'd love to know what an offer he couldn't refuse is, because he's clearly proud of what he's building down there in Tassie.
Surely.
I would be very, very surprised if anything could pry him away.
There's no way. He started something special. You don't walk away from this fairy tale. Might be in Derek's.
Can you win a championship in Tasmania?
Well, I think it'd be difficult, but I don't think that's the point. I think when you start something like this and you have that sort of success, all of Tasmania is behind him and what they're doing. There's an opportunity to be able to build. There is no doubt the quick fix and the low-hanging fruit would be in Perth, but I just don't think, I don't know the guy, but it just doesn't seem like that's in his DNA. I think he's there and he's trying to build something special.
What about the MVP,
I think that area, sorry, Joe, I think that area suits who he is as an individual. You know, I feel like that matches his persona. The other thing I want to mention real quickly on coaches, Dori Kardahi stepping down. What does that say for Brian Goorjian's future at Illawarra?
Will be an interesting one. I think stepping down from day-to-day duties for now, still involved. So we'll see what happens there. What about the MVP? So Jalen Adams, JLA, or Bryce Cotton, D? Who have you got?
Oh, this has been a lackluster finish to the MVP race, with Adams being ill and Cotton really, like I said before, having to do too much. I'm going to go with Adams. I don't think we'll ever have had an MVP play so few games, Shane, but he's deserving. He's been the most impactful player. He's been the most brilliant player.
By far. He is by far the MVP. It's not even close. Cotton was great for, I guess 60% of the season. And JLA, he had a great season, but just not at the same level as these two. I think it's clear cut this year.
Looking at the NBA Finals at the moment, guys, I know D and you and I were talking about it last week, the fact that the Nets and Boston series could potentially be an upset. Both of us thought that the Nets would win. They're currently down 3-0. They're Game 4 tomorrow. Looks virtually impossible that they're going to get out of this. What have you made of the series, and I guess how disappointing it's been from Brooklyn's point of view?
It has been, Joe, but, some of the things that Shane and I talked about during the year, not having offensive structure, not having ball movement, player movement, setting up the defense, then ISO attacking, all that stuff is being shown now. And they're playing against a very good Boston defensive team that's well coached, and trying to go one-on-one right off the bat is too tough. I don't care how great you are. And I've never seen Kevin Durant be stifled like this, Shane. It is crazy. And I don't know what's happened to Kyrie. He's just gone out into a black hole somewhere, but they need these guys to come back. I was hopeful that Ben Simmons was going to come back for game 4. That's not happening. Get the brooms out, baby. It's a wrap.
Well, it's nice to hear you finally admit it, because when Kevin Durant went there, you said it was a great move. You said Harden was going to win a championship. Irving was this guy that they were all going to blend and do fantastic things. That obviously didn't happen. And then only last week you said how they were going to be able to knock off Boston because they had the most talent. And Durant and Irving and all these guys were going to do everything else. Now they're 0-3. It is just so nice to be able to hear you, cap in hand, to be able to say, they're going to be beaten by a better team. A team that plays
I thought
together.
Steve Nash was going to bring a little bit more to the table, Hammer.
Oh.
Is his job seriously under pressure now?
Well, somebody's got to fall, right? Is it going to be Kyrie? Doubtful. It's not going to be Durant. Doubtful. It's either going to be GM Sean Marks or Steve Nash. Somebody's falling down. Personally, I would bring everybody back. I think this year, I don't cast any blame on anyone, but I'd like to see everybody back, including Ben Simmons, get everyone one more year and see why are you laughing?
Because that's what you said at the start. They should get James Harden. That would solve the problem. Get Harden back. They get one more crack.
Can I tell you something about James Harden?
Yeah, tell me.
I thought he looked good those first couple of games with Philly. He is bad. He is such a non-impact in that series. Embiid must be like, I thought this guy could hoop. He can't do anything. I am shocked watching Harden out there.
Mate, and can I say that as well? I've been on Harden for years now, and you've flicked me on the nose, you've battered me, all the rest of it about getting off his back, and now finally you come around on that as well. I know Queensland's normally an hour behind, mate, but I feel like you're just months and years behind.
Oh, it's something else. It's something else.
Agreeing
but look
on something.
here,
There you
I
go.
just think ultimately, Joe, I mentioned this to you before. I mentioned this to you before, Joe, but ultimately, Kevin Durant trusted Kyrie Irving more than he trusted Steph Curry.
And you said it was the right move at the time as well. So did you. But
No, you never leave a Davidson guy.
Alrighty. Dee, thank you so much for that. That's all we've got time for on the show today, but it's been fun.
Oh, so much basketball going on. NBL playoffs, bring it on this weekend.
I know, it's going to be a good week. Thank you so much to TCL Mobile, 2K and Bet with Joel. We'll see you guys next time.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.